TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Jerusalem prepares ahead of Passover and Easter holidays. Israeli Defense Minister Yisrael Katz unveils documents proving Iran's support of Hamas's activities aimed at destroying Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrives in Washington to discuss the latest tariffs imposed on Israel in addition to a long list of other issues. Jerusalem prepares ahead of the looming festivities related to Passover and Easter holidays, which are expected to draw multitudes of Israelis and tourists to the Israeli capital. Amid the prolonged war against Islamist terror groups in the Gaza Strip, Judea and Samaria, and additional active theaters of warfare, Israel police have ratcheted up their presence to guarantee a sense of security during the high holidays.
The Jerusalem precinct conducted in recent weeks operational staff work, headed by Jerusalem District Commander Deputy Commissioner Amir Arzani, and concluded its preparations ahead of the Passover festival and Saturday of Light. During the days of preparations, thousands of police and border police officers are deployed, along with additional reinforcing forces, for the purpose of ensuring the defense and security of the thousands of visitors and worshippers who are expected to arrive in Jerusalem to the main events, to include the priestly blessing, which will be held during Kol Hamod at the Western Wall, and the Saturday Holy Fire event that is marked in parallel to the seventh day of Passover. Within the framework of preparations, precinct officers will direct traffic in the roads leading to the separate events and throughout the city of Jerusalem. It is important to emphasize that private vehicles won't be permitted to enter during the Saturday of the Holy Fire and Kol Hamod to the area of the Old City. I request of the public to heed the directives by the police officers deployed throughout the city and who are operating to ensure the security of the residents of Jerusalem and those entering its gates. Wishes for a happy and quiet feast.
Recently appointed IDF spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin, in his first press briefing over the weekend, highlighted that operational counter-terror activity throughout Judea and Samaria, with chief focus on the northern Samaria region, are proving effective, illustrated by the relative quiet that existed during the highly tense Muslim-observed month of Ramadan.
In Judea and Samaria, IDF troops continue counterterrorism operations with a focus on the northern Samaria region. This crucial activity directly prevents attacks and terrorist activity. The soldiers operate in a professional manner, achieving significant results that have proven themselves throughout the month of Ramadan.
General Defrin went on to address the IDF's gradual escalation of operational activity against the Islamist Hamas terror organization in the Gaza Strip, stressing that the only action that can stop Israel from its offensive in the terror-ridden territory is for Hamas to release all of the 59 hostages who've been held captive by the Palestinian terror group for 549 days.
Since the resumption of operations in the Gaza Strip, we have struck more than 600 terrorist targets across the Gaza Strip and eliminated more than 250 terrorists, including 12 senior members of the Hamas terror organization and its governing arm. They are all terrorists, all of whom took part in the October 7th massacre. We are operating according to a gradual plan with varying intensity. As the chief of the General Staff said yesterday, during his visit to the soldiers in the Gaza Strip, the only thing that can stop us from continuing our advance is the release of our hostages. We will not rest until we bring back the 59 hostages, both the living and the deceased, whose families, the parents, siblings, spouses, and children have been waiting for them for a long time.
Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Yisrael Katz visited a special IDF unit at the Intelligence Directorate, during the course of which he unveiled documents that proved the involvement of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Hamas's proactive activities to annihilate the State of Israel.
I am here today visiting the IDF's AMST intelligence unit, a special unit established during the Iron Swords War and based on reservists who bring extensive knowledge from the civic fields and have developed a national capability that did not exist before, an intelligence capability that currently holds critical materials that were physically collected from deep within the battlefield, archives of Hamas, Hezbollah, and other sensitive intelligence sources. I am presenting here today for the first time a transcript of conversations found in the tunnels of senior Hamas figures in Gaza, which proves a direct connection between Iran and Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Deif as part of Iran's support for Hamas' plan to destroy Israel. In the document, they demand that the commander of the Quds Force of Iran's Revolutionary Guards to transfer $500 million for the purpose of destroying the state of Israel.
Jerusalem's top defense official continued by highlighting that the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps responded to Hamas's request favorably.
The head of the Palestinian branch of the Revolutionary Guards, Izadi, responded to the request and replied that Iran, despite its difficult economic situation and the plight of the Iranian population, will continue to pour money into Hamas because the struggle against Israel and the United States is the Iranian regime's top priority. The conclusion is clear. Iran is the head of the snake, and despite all its denials, even these days it is financing and promoting terrorism in all sectors, from Gaza, through Lebanon, Syria, Judea, and Samaria, and now also against the Houthis in Yemen these very days, under the banner of the desire to destroy the state of Israel. Israel will do everything to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons and will continue to strike its proxies in the region until the Iranian axis of evil is crushed and toppled.
Meanwhile, at least 10 Israeli residents of southern Israel suffered light injuries as a result of the barrage of rockets that was fired by the Islamist Hamas out of the Gaza Strip last night. At least half of the rockets were intercepted. Nevertheless, one rocket struck a home in Ashkelon directly, and interceptor missile fragments landed in several other locations, causing both damage and injuries. In response to the rocket barrage, which was the largest in scale over the past 8 months, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with Defense Minister Yisrael Katz and instructed him to prepare for a severe retaliatory response. The conversation between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz took place overnight, while the former traveled to the United States at the invitation of U.S. President Donald Trump. Prior to embarking on his flight from the tarmac at the Budapest Franz Liszt International Airport, the Israeli Prime Minister highlighted his deep appreciation of Hungary for standing firm in its support of Israel.
I have just finished a very important visit to Hungary. Hungary is a very great friend of Israel. It defends us in the European Union and the UN, and no less, in the corrupt international court in The Hague, which is biased against all of us, IDF soldiers and commanders, and the state of Israel. It is trying to deny our right to self-defense. Hungary is the first country to have withdrawn, during this visit, from the international court. This is a sign of things to come. This greatly assists the state of Israel. We also discussed cooperating in the production of munitions. We need them in order to continue and achieve total victory in the war on 7 fronts. Of course, we also discussed the Hungarian hostage and additional issues that are important to the state of Israel.
Netanyahu went on to highlight the focus of his trip, which aims to deliberate the Trump administration's hike of 17% in tariffs on the state of Israel.
From here, I am departing for the U.S. at the invitation of President Trump to talk with him, of course, about these issues, the hostages, achieving victory in Gaza, and, of course, the tariff regime that has also been imposed on Israel. I hope that I will be able to help on this issue. That is the intention. I can tell you that I am the first international leader, the first foreign leader, who will meet with President Trump on the issue, which is so important to the Israeli economy. There is a long line of leaders who want to do this regarding their own economies. I think that it reflects the special personal link, as well as the special ties between the U.S. and Israel, which is so vital at this time.
Prime Minister Netanyahu also seized the opportunity to convey a personal message to the families of the hostages after the Islamist Hamas terror organization released footage of hostages desperately calling on Jerusalem to to succumb to Hamas's demands and the latest psychological warfare applied by the terror group against Israel.
I would like to convey my personal support to the families of the hostages who have again endured psychological warfare propaganda. We are thinking about their loved ones. We are working, at this moment, to bring about their release, and we will not slacken. With GDS help, we will do so and we will succeed.
After arriving in Washington, Premier Netanyahu met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Trade Representative Jameson Greer at the Blair House. The Prime Minister's office subsequently released a statement noting, "The meeting was warm and productive, and it was conducted in good spirit." Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to highlight that TV7 Israel is a donation-based broadcast with all of our programs paid for by the generosity of our viewers. Therefore, if you're blessed by the contents of our productions, please consider donating. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.